Hello, and welcome to a sleepy episode of the Brain Ladle Trivia Podcast. I am your snooze-filled host, Davo.
Way to sell it.
Well, I'm trying to go for a more mellow vibe. I don't want to just be like, hey, everybody, in your face. We can be chill, be mellow trivia, Take a moment, think about what your answer is, and then move on, man. It's all good.
So are you saying you want me to calm down?
Yeah, Neil, we've gotten complaints, and you need to chill out.
Okay.
With me, as always, is my serene co-host, Kels.
What's going on out there?
My subdued co-host, Andy.
How you doing, ladle brainers?
And the sensei of this trivia tournament of champions. Well, none of us are real champions. Well, Neil.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening.
That was the weirdest thing
Wow.
I've ever heard in my life.
I did not know that was you.
That's crazy.
I thought we had interference or something.
So I'm a little afraid to ask, but Sensei Neil, what are the rules?
Yeah, I apologize for that outburst. The rules are every week we have a theme, and within that theme we have 6 categories of 4 questions each. Each question is worth 10 points, and there's an occasional bonus question. And then we have a final question, which can be worth up to 100 points. I have an extra special bonus for you guys on the final question this week, and I'll share that when we get to it. Last week's theme was love. And I was talking to friends of the show, Jeff and Anthony,
El Jefe!
about that. And they actually helped me come up with most of today's questions. The theme today is kind of the opposite of love. It is breakups.
I like the topic. That's very interesting. But as a quick aside, I'm concerned about Jeff and Anthony.
Why is that?
Well, they did cults, and half of the toy episode involved toys being used for nefarious purposes. And I'm just concerned about their mental state or well-being. Are they okay, Neil?
Yeah, and in fact, my original idea was to do hate, and they suggested that we tone that down a little bit and go with breakups.
Well, I'm glad that they served as a mellowing influence.
Yeah, because you know how excited I get sometimes.
I do. I'm glad they kept you in line.
So are we ready to start?
Y'all ready?
Let's do this.
Okay. Category 1, science. We're just going to get it out of the way. Let's get it out of the way. Question 1. A simple O-ring caused this disaster that was witnessed by children around the U.S.
Locked in.
Locked in.
Can you say this again, please, sir?
I will. And you don't have to call me sir.
Okay. Appreciate that.
A simple O-ring caused this disaster that was witnessed by children around the U.S.
Oh, okay. I'm locked in.
Davo, what was your answer?
The Challenger explosion.
Okay. Kels?
It took me a second, but you said children, and I vaguely remember hearing that they showed this in classrooms because I believe teachers were on board. That would be the Challenger explosion.
A teacher was on board.
Yeah, a teacher.
Oh, just one? Okay. Gotcha.
And Andy?
The Challenger explosion.
The correct answer is the Space Shuttle Challenger. And to be accurate, because I know you guys want to be accurate, the O-ring that caused the the seal to fail, causing a breach in the SRB joint, which allowed pressurized burning gas from within the solid rocket motor to reach the outside and impinge on the adjacent SRB aft field joint attachment hardware and the external fuel tank, which in turn led to the separation of the right-hand SRB's aft field joint attachment and the structural failure of the external tank. And obviously, aerodynamic forces would break up the orbiter. So,
Clearly.
yes.
Yeah. That's.
But you guys knew that. I didn't need to.
Yeah, that's
Totally.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Made the most sense.
So is the O-ring then?
Yeah.
That O-ring failed. Question 2 in science. What is the name of the process in which the nucleus of an atom splits into smaller parts?
I'm
locked
locked
in.
in.
I have a Adam sounding answer locked in.
Also locked in.
Okay, Davo?
Fission.
Okay. Kels?
I also went with fission.
And Andy?
I also went with fission.
Guys are doing really good in the science category. Correct
Oh
answer
my
is
goodness.
nuclear fission.
Woot.
That was a total guess.
Not to be confused with nuclear fusion, which is different. Okay, question 3 in science. In biology, what is the name of the process in which a cell is divided into 2 pieces, to 2 nuclei?
Oh.
I'm locked in.
I'm locked in.
All right. Locked in.
Okay, Kels?
I'm hoping it's mitosis.
Andy?
Divorce.
Davo?
Mitosis.
Correct answer is mitosis. And finally, in the 4th question in science breakups, what is the biological sounding term for chunks of ice that break off from a glacier? Or I should say for the process of those chunks of ice breaking off the glacier.
There's a word for that? It's not just there's ice breaking off that glacier?
There is a word.
Oh, yeah. All right. I'm locked in.
I'm locked in.
I got 500 in science. I can't complain.
Is Davo still thinking?
I'm still thinking, but I'm done thinking. I'm locked in.
Okay. Andy?
I think the word you're looking there for is global warming.
Okay. Davo?
I wasn't real happy with it. I know what it is, but it's just not coming to the forefront of my mind, so I went with cleaving.
Kels?
I said chunking.
Davo, you were so close. The word is calving.
Oh, man.
Like a cow.
Where I'm from,
Like a cow having a
I was
baby.
going to say,
birthing.
we're in the farming area, it's a whole totally different thing.
The words are actually etymologically related. All right. At the end of the science round, we're actually doing pretty good. Kels and Davo have 30 and Andy has 20.
Hooray. If I may interject real quickly, I neglected to mention that Kels is an orange belt in the Kumite. And Andy and I are mere yellow belts.
All right. Category 2 in breakups, celebrities. Question 1. A motorcycle mechanic and an Academy Award-winning actress ended their marriage in 2010 after evidence of his multiple affairs surfaced. Who is this couple?
I'm locked in.
I'm locked in as well.
I'm locked in, but I thought he did something different.
Davo?
I believe this is Jesse James and Sandra Bullock.
Kels?
Jesse James and Sandra Bullock.
And Andy?
I was thinking it was Roseanne Barr, and I couldn't remember the husband's name, but he was in construction, not a motorcycle mechanic.
I don't know who that would have been, but that's
Maybe.
not correct. The correct answer was Sandra Bullock and Jesse James. Kels and Davo got it right. Question 2. The violent and very public breakup of this pair of Grammy Award winners raised issues of privacy in the media around domestic abuse cases.
Locked in.
Oh,
Locked in.
I'm locked in.
Okay, Andy?
Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown.
Davo?
See, I started with that. And then I thought, oh, there's Ike and Tina Turner. And then I thought,
Ooh, no, it's too early.
yeah. And then I
Yeah.
went with Rihanna and Chris Brown.
And that's what I was trying to come up with. That's the right one.
And Kels?
I also went with Chris Brown and Rihanna.
Correct answer is Chris Brown and Rihanna. So the
Yeah.
reason was I think a picture of her basically being beaten up had been released. I mean, it showed her with bruises on her face and stuff like that. And they normally don't name people who are victims of domestic abuse, but they did for her basically because she was famous, and everybody, all the media did it. And so that's raised issues of privacy. All right. Question 3, celebrities. This married duet had a successful variety show for 4 seasons. Then their divorce caused them each to do a season of a less successful solo shows before reuniting as a divorced couple for 2 more seasons.
I'm locked in.
A variety show?
Mhm.
I have no idea. I'm gonna lock in with something. Though.
Okay, Kels, go ahead.
I'm not even sure if they got divorced at all during their run, but I just guess Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball.
Okay, Andy.
Sonny and Cher.
Oh,
Ava.
Sonny and Cher.
Correct answer was Sonny and Cher. They had their show for 4 years. They weren't happy for most of them, but they finally got divorced sometime, I think, during the 4th season. Then Sonny had his own show and Cher had her own show. And his especially didn't do very well because it was at a bad time slot. And then they decided to get back together, and they did 2 more seasons before they got canceled. I think they were the
That's just weird.
I think they were the first TV show that had a divorced couple as the stars.
Yeah, that's just weird, especially for the time period.
And they would, I remember watching this as a kid, and they would actually joke about their bad relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, she would really kind of just, make fun of him as a lover or whatnot on the air. And it was clearly canned. It wasn't like she was being mean. It was clearly stuff they wrote together and came up with. But it was very obvious they were divorced and kind of teasing each other.
But I think
about
that kind of animosity that sort of came across there was one of the reasons that people didn't like it as much. It was a lot more fun when they were kind of playing and having fun and being like a happy married couple. All right. Question 4. This Hungarian actress and celebrity was married 9 times and had 7 divorces and 1 annulment.
Locked in.
Locked in.
Locked in.
Devo?
Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Kels?
Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Andy?
Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Correct. The correct answer was Zsa Zsa Gabor. Now, she had 2 sisters. I know you guys know Ava, right? She was Green Acres.
Ava Gabor.
She also had another sister named Magda, who was an actress and socialite. She was divorced 5 times, widowed twice, and had 1 annulment. So she had 8 different marriages. Ava divorced 5 times. So between them, they had, I think that's 22 divorces, 2 widows, and 2 annulments. And interestingly, both Zsa Zsa and Magda married the same person about 16 years apart, an actor named George Sanders, who I think he was an Academy Award winner for Best Supporting Actor for some movie. I forget what it was, but a movie in the 60s maybe.
That is absurd.
All right. At the end of round 2, we've got Davo with 70, Kels with 60, and Andy with 40. So let's move on to category 3, which is television.
Oh, man. Please not from the 60s.
I like the 60s.
You would.
Nope, none of these are from the 60s.
Rat turds.
I think we've got 70s, 80s, and 90s.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Question The affair between this doctor and nurse couple ends after his wife finds out, and he denies it, referring to the nurse as an old army mule with bosoms.
Locked in.
Locked in.
Locked in.
Kels,
I guess MASH.
I'm asking for the nurse and doctor couple.
Oh well, Hawkeye Pierce, and I don't know anybody else's name on the show.
Andy,
Major Frank Burns and Margaret Houlihan, or Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan.
Eva.
Burns and Houlihan.
It was Major Burns and Hot Lips Houlihan. Question 2. In what show did Blaine and Kurt break up in season 4 after Blaine admitted to cheating on Kurt, which was immediately followed by a performance of No Doubt's Don't Speak?
Locked in. Quick trivia nugget about MASH. In the movie, Robert Duvall played Frank Burns.
Right.
Academy Award winner Robert Duvall.
Yes, indeed.
What is the name of the MASH theme song?
Suicide is painless.
Painless.
Well done. All right. I'm only talking about this because I have no idea how to answer this one.
I don't recognize the names, but
I
so
don't recognize the names at all.
I'm locked in.
I'm locked in.
Davo, did you watch this show?
Yes.
Okay. If it was one of these shows that I'm guessing it was, I'm guessing you would watch, and my guess is Melrose Place.
Okay. So that was your answer. Thanks
Yeah,
for
that was my
volunteering
guess.
that. Andy,
No problem.
Because you threw in a song there as well as a pop song, I'm going with High School Musical.
okay. Davo.
Glee.
Oh,
The correct answer,
High School Musical is the movie. Glee is the TV
answer
show.
was Glee.
Oh,
Another show I didn't watch.
I watched it because I had 3 girls. Oh, I'm so mad at myself. The movie was, I hated those things. Oh, I hated those things. Oh.
All right. Question 3 in TV. In season 3 of Friends, what excuse does Ross famously give for cheating on Rachel?
Locked in.
Locked in.
Locked in.
I'm mad that I know this, by the way, just so everyone knows it. I'm mad.
Davo?
We were on a break.
Kels?
We were on a stupid break.
And Andy.
We were on a break.
I made this too easy. Question 4 in TV. This teenage couple broke up in season 4 of The Wonder Years. Kels, this was a TV show from the 80s.
Christ.
I know. I loved it. I'm locked in.
Oh, crap.
What
I can think
would
of
you do
the actress
if
name, but I can't think of the
sang
character
out
name.
of tune? I can give you first and last names if you want. I mean, it's on you, Neil.
I'm just looking for first names.
Okay. Hey, Davo,
What?
lend me your ear, and I'll sing you a song.
You'll try not to sing out of key?
You know what? Don't do Beatles.
He wasn't. He was doing Joe Cocker. Doing the Beatles.
Doing the Beatles. I'm locked in.
No, I've never heard the Beatles version of this song, like the original version. Like never.
Kels, you need to come over some afternoon so I can take you to school. We need to.
That sounds creepy.
No, it's not. I need to show Kelvin the light.
Is that what you call it?
The light.
The Beatles are the light. The light is good, and good is the Beatles. And there you go.
I'm locked in as well. I'm mad at myself, but I'm locked in.
Okay. I'll let Andy go first.
Kevin and Winnie.
Oh my God!
Ooh, for the win!
Took me a minute. I couldn't come up with Winnie's name. I could only come up with the actress's name at first.
Davo?
I had Winnie Cooper. I know Winnie Cooper. I could not remember his name. I wrote down Josh because I'm an idiot, but I could not remember Kevin's name.
Kevin Arnold.
And Kels.
God bless Bess.
Kevin Arnold, Winnie Cooper.
The correct answer is Kevin and Winnie. So supposedly the reason the writers broke them up is because Danica Patrick had a growth spurt, and the height difference between the two actors was pretty significant. And so they decided to basically separate them for a while and hope that Kevin caught up.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah, that really
I don't know
is.
if that's true or not. That's something I read on the internet, so take it for what it's worth.
I got 2 words. Apple crate. It's worked for Tom Cruise for 30 years.
Okay. I would say you guys should be happy that the next category is sports, but you're doing really well, so it may not make that much difference.
What are the scores? I want to hear.
I
how
forgot
we're
the
doing.
scores, didn't I? Davo has 100, Kels has 80, and Andy has 70.
Yeah, anybody's game.
Anybody's game.
Well, except when you're in last place.
You still got a shot, Andy.
Just saying. Still got a
Mathematically alive.
shot. Never tell me the odds, Davo.
Question 1 in sports. These are kind of all teams that broke up with their original cities and moved somewhere else. When the Baltimore Colts moved to Indianapolis pretty much overnight, many Colts fans were outraged and disowned the team, including what former Colts quarterback who now has a statue outside the Ravens Stadium?
Locked in.
Locked in.
I'm still thinking.
It's not Kevin Arnold.
It's not Peyton Manning.
Tom Brady?
It's all right. I'm punting. I can't believe this.
You punt on Michael Keaton?
I don't have this one. It's driving me crazy.
You're going to be really
know it.
mad at yourself.
I know.
Super
Okay,
mad at
Davo.
yourself.
Ray Guy.
Davo, what's your answer?
I'll give you my answer as soon as Kels doesn't leave me hanging.
Hang time.
Oh,
There we go.
Oh, that one's a beaut. It's a beaut. He's going to pin him.
It's so high. My answer is Johnny Unitas.
Kels?
Johnny U.
And we got a punt from Andy.
yeah. That would make. Yeah. Okay, that one really stings.
But you got him pinned at the 10, though, Andy.
No, I
That
don't.
was a glorious
I am the Rams in this moment.
Andy,
Ooh.
Too soon? Too soon?
Andy, thanks for the segue. Speaking of stinging, the Hornets broke up with Charlotte in 2002 and moved to New Orleans. What was the name of the new Charlotte NBA team when it began in 2004?
Locked in with the Nugget.
Locked in.
Locked in.
Andy?
It's the Bobcats, isn't it?
Oh, we'll find out here. Davo?
Bobcats.
Oh,
So,
God.
In honor of their new owner, Mr. Bob Johnson, they went by the Bobcats.
correct answer was Bobcats for what, 2 or 3 years? No, it was longer than that.
It was a bit longer than that. They were terrible, so nobody really noticed. But they finally got their name back when the New Orleans Hornets went to being the Pelicans. That allowed them their opportunity to get the old Hornets name back.
I think nowadays, don't some of the leagues retire names once a team moves away? Retire team names so that you can't, like, I know they did that in Houston. So once Houston's the Oilers moved to Tennessee, they retired the name Oilers so that Houston couldn't have another team called the Oilers.
How do you
usually depends.
retire it? I mean, do you buy the rights or?
No, the league does.
Oh, the
The
league
league
retires it.
Oh,
Yeah.
That usually
noticed
depends
that.
on the acrimony or how the team moved. If it was under
Well, maybe.
good or bad circumstances, like for the Cleveland Browns, when they moved to Baltimore and became the Ravens, the city of Cleveland took them to court and made them keep all of the history for the Browns. Like, the Baltimore Ravens essentially are their own franchise that started as the Baltimore Ravens, even though they moved because the city of Cleveland wanted to keep their Cleveland Browns for when the expansion team came around so they could attach the history of the Cleveland Browns to that
the
new
new-
team.
Oh,
Well, speaking of Houston and acrimonious removals, when Bud Adams broke up with Houston and moved the Oilers to Tennessee for the 96-97 season, what city did they move to?
I'm locked in.
Well, this feels tricksy.
It does,
Yeah,
doesn't it? I don't feel comfortable, but I'm liking it.
I feel like this is a trick question.
Would I do a trick question?
Yes.
Never.
I'm locked in, but
I'm locked in as well.
Okay. Davo.
Well, I think you're tricksy because they currently, as of now, play their football games in Nashville. But in their inaugural season, their first couple of games were in Memphis, and they also played in Knoxville. So the answer that I put down is Memphis.
okay.
Hey, Kels.
I also went with Memphis.
And Andy.
I too went to Memphis, and I thought for sure I was wrong on this one.
So here's the deal. The correct answer is
Uh-oh.
Memphis.
Oh, good.
But they'd always intended to move to Nashville. But at the time, the biggest stadium in Nashville was the Vanderbilt University Stadium, which held like 41,000 people, I think. And Adams was like, "Oh, well, that's not nearly enough to hold our team." So they looked into Knoxville, but the biggest stadium there wasn't that big either. So they ended up going to I forget the name of the university in Memphis, but it was a bigger stadium there. And then it turned out that the people that live in Memphis who wanted their own NFL team were like, screw those guys. We want our own team. We're not going to support a team that's going to be moving to Nashville in a couple of years. And the people in Nashville said, we're not going to drive 3 to 5 hours to get to Memphis. So they ended up having average attendance of like 17,000. It was some of the smallest. There were colleges that were getting way more people attending than they were. There were games where there were more more Browns fans than Titans fans there.
Ugh.
So
wow.
after that, after 1 year in Memphis, the team decided that they would just go ahead and move to Vanderbilt and play there, because if they're only going to be drawing a handful of people, they might as well play in where they want to end up. So that's a long story of why they played one year in Memphis.
Well, it's frustrating too with all this moving around, and Chicago is still waiting for an NFL team.
Oh.
Okay. This one might be a little bit complicated. I know I write complicated questions sometimes, but it makes sense to me, which is really what matters. Okay.
Okay. It doesn't need to make sense to the people I'm asking, as long as I get it.
Okay. At the time that the Quebec Nordiques moved to the U.S. in 1994, they were the smallest market in the NHL. Quebec was. After they moved, that left which team as the smallest market, which also moved to the U.S. 2 years later?
You know what? I'm locked in.
I'm locked in.
I'm drawing a blank. All of the teams that I can think of that are Canadian are still Canadian.
Or aren't they?
Pretty sure.
Well, just to be clear, Kels, I'm wrong. So,
I'll just lock in with a wrong answer.
Devo?
Well, when you started asking about the Quebec Nordiques, I was all excited because they moved to Colorado.
They did.
And became the Avalanche, which is my favorite hockey team. But you decided to ask about the second smallest market before the Nordiques moved, which I believe was in Winnipeg.
Okay. So your answer is Winnipeg?
Winnipeg, yes. Manitoba's finest.
And Kels?
Winnipeg was the only team that I could think of. So I also said Winnipeg.
And Andy?
For the second episode in a row, I'm going with the Canucks.
Okay. The correct answer is the Winnipeg Jets, who in I think 96 became the Arizona Coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone else, subsequently Kels, moved to Winnipeg and became the Jets again.
Oh man,
I forget
I
which.
knew I seen the new logo. I was like, man, they
Which leads us all back around to that acrimonious split.
to the Browns.
Yeah.
The current Jets began as the Atlanta Thrashers in 99-2000 season.
Yes.
And then in 2011, they went back to, or they moved to Winnipeg and became the Jets.
As it turns out, Atlanta is a terrible hockey market. Who would have thought?
But apparently Phoenix is great.
Hey, there's a
Yeah.
lot of retirees. All those snowbirds going down.
Okay, after round 4, we've got Davo at 140, Kels at 120, and Andy with 90.
I feel good about this. Comeback trail, Cinderella story.
Now this
Let's do this.
next category is music, Andy. This is all about you.
Yes.
So these are bands that break up for different reasons. In 1972, Jefferson Airplane broke up and basically split into 2 different bands. One was Jefferson Starship. What was the other band founded by Jormy Kakkonen and Jack Cassidy? And I apologize for butchering Jorma's name.
No, you got the names right. Yeah, but I don't.
I have no idea. I'm locked in.
I'm going to lock in with a word.
All right, I don't know the story, but I'm locking in with a logical guess.
Okay. Devo, what was your one word?
Airplane.
Okay. Else?
I said Starship.
And Andy.
I'm close to what David, but I think they maybe kept the original band name. Maybe they remained Jefferson Airplane. Starship was the offshoot.
I see where you were going, and without knowing the answer, that's a logical way to approach it. But the correct answer was hot tuna.
Hot
Never
tuna.
heard of that. That's
What?
insane. Wow. Did not know that.
So
Sounds gross.
So just
It sounds really nasty.
I didn't know this either, but when I was looking up bands that broke up, this one came up, and Anthony and I were sharing this document when I was writing it on Google Docs, and I wrote the question, and before I had put in the answer, he was watching what I was doing, and he typed in hot tuna, so he knew it immediately. So that was kind of my gauge that it's a gettable
Wow.
question.
Did they have anything that charted?
I don't know. I think they were more of a jazz band.
All right, hold on one second. I got my Billboard book right behind me. Hot butter, hot chocolate, hot legs, house of pain. No, hot tuna never had a song that charted. Okay.
No.
Now, just so you know, now you can all go to sleep.
They did put out like 12 or 13 albums between 1970 and 2011.
Wow.
How many?
Looks like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13, 14, a bunch.
Props for not giving up.
All right, let's keep going because we're having so much fun. Question 2. During a 1980 fundraising concert for Senator Alan Cranston, this band broke up on stage with the singer and the guitarist threatening to beat each other up after the show. They didn't play together again for 14 years. And for a bonus, what was the name of their reunion album released in 1994?
I got no idea. The band was playing at a fundraiser for Alan Cranston.
Yeah, and the guitarist did not appreciate the fact that they were getting into politics because he didn't think that had any place. And so the story is that Alan Cranston's wife went backstage and said, "Thank you for doing this fundraiser." And the guitarist said, "You're welcome, I guess." And that threw the singer into a rage that carried forward onto the stage where they were threatening to beat each other up during the show on microphone.
Wow.
And the
I'm locked
guitarist
in.
I
I'm
got
locked in.
no I got no idea.
Neither do I, Andy. Don't you worry.
I got to guess. He's
I am locked in as well.
guitarist, and yeah.
Okay. Davo.
I believe that this was the culmination of the tempestuous relationship between Glenn Fry and Don Henley. So I went with the Eagles,
Oh,
and their album was called Hell Freezes Over.
Kels.
I also said the Eagles because once I ruled out the Jackson 5, it made the most sense. But the album, I had no idea, so I just wrote down Return to Hotel California.
Okay. And Andy?
I'm so embarrassed because I have Hell Freezes Over, and I obsessed over the Senator, not about the years. It's definitely the Eagles, but I wrote down Guns N' Roses.
The correct answer is the Eagles and Hell Freezes Over. So you were pretty close, Davo, except it was Don Henley was not the guitarist; he was the drummer. And,
But he was a singer.
well, but it was Glenn Fry.
Yeah.
Glenn Fry and who else?
Who was the guitarist, Andy?
Randy something.
Oh, you're thinking of
Joe Walsh?
Joe Walsh.
The other one.
No, there was Timothy B. Schmidt was the bass player.
Right. Joe Walsh, Glenn Fry, Don Henley, and
Randy
that's
something.
it.
No, they had a rhythm guitar.
Was
or a lead guitar.
no, it was Don Felder.
That guy, yeah.
That guy. Yeah, he's the only guy that doesn't actually have a lead in any song.
Full points to Davo. Kels got the question, but not the bonus. Question 3 in music breakups. Jason Mizell's murder in 2002 led directly to this group's breakup.
Locked in.
It would help if you know who Jason Mizell is.
I'm locked in.
I'm locked in with something.
Pretty sure I know this.
Are you locked in, Andy?
I am, yeah.
Okay, what's your answer?
Run DMC.
Davo?
What? I said Sublime because, okay, Sublime, sure, why not?
And Kels?
If I told you that Jason Mizell's stage name was Jam Master J, you would have gone with Run DMC.
Most likely, yes.
That was indeed Jam Master J, and it was Run DMC in the aftermath of his murder, which I think is still unsolved.
It is.
The other two guys said, we're just not going to go on anymore. I think this will be an easy one, but I thought it was interesting. These brothers, who had a #1 hit with Kathy's Clown, broke up in 1973 and didn't speak to each other for another 10 years, except while at their father's funeral.
Locked in.
Oh, yeah, I'm locked in.
Okay, sure.
You locked in?
I'll play your game, Trebek. Yeah, I'm locked in. Yeah, I'm locked in.
Okay, Kels, what you guess?
I wrote down the Doobie Brothers.
Andy?
I am sorry to laugh. That's rude, but it's just so far removed from the Everly Brothers.
And
I would think I would
Please
have
tell me
gotten
you went
this
with the
right.
Brothers Gibb.
I did not. See, I would have gotten this question right if I had played if I had played Andy instead of the question, because I wasn't sure about the question, but Andy answered so fast, and I know he loves the Everly Brothers. That's not what I did. That's not what I did.
What'd you do?
The Davies Brothers.
Who?
Ooh.
Ray and Dave Davies, the Kinks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who are also still not speaking with each other.
Yeah, they hate each other with a fire
really
passion. Oh my God, yes.
So apparently the story is that they've been playing together for a very long time, and I think they were starting to get on each other's nerves anyway, but they went to a concert. I want to say it was at Knott's Berry Farm, but I could have that wrong. But anyway, one of them showed up drunk. The other one got mad and bashed his guitar over the drunk one's head and walked off the stage. And they were the Everly Brothers.
And if I could add trivia nugget, they never really completely patched it up. And I'm in the middle of Paul Simon's biography right now, which I'm sure all of you are reading as well. And he talks about the last Simon and Garfunkel tour. They had the Everly Brothers come on the tour with them because Simon and Garfunkel really patterned themselves at the Everly Brothers. And Paul Simon talks about the first warm-up gig they were doing. These guys showed up and they hadn't spoken to each other in years. And they pull up in the parking lot and Art and Paul Simon are there. And they're both like, okay, let's do this. Just very non-committal. No, hello, how have you been for the last few years? Just let's get on with the gig.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that Kels, your answer was a joke answer, but just to be clear,
Yes.
the Doobie Brothers are not actual brothers.
Oh yeah, I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure.
But they are real doobies,
They,
turns out.
I'm sure they've had a few.
It's such a bad impression, but I still love it so much.
So bad it's good. It wraps back around on itself.
It does.
All right. After round 5, our scores are thus: Davo with 152, Kels with 140, and Andy with 110. Anybody's game.
Anybody's game.
And I'm gonna have to ask you to stop doing that.
I won't do that again. I'm just getting a little punchy. I'm sorry.
Category 6 in breakups is companies. These are companies that broke up for various reasons. Question 1. An antitrust suit by the Department of Justice against AT&T eventually led to the splitting off of a number of regional telephone companies. What alliterative name were those companies known as? And for a bonus, within one, how many of those companies were there?
Okay.
I'm locked in.
I'm locked in.
I would have loved to have heard Neil say alliterative colloquialisms.
No way I can say that. It's too late at night.
Davo.
I went with Baby Bells.
Okay.
And I said 5.
Okay. Else?
I said the Bluebells, and I just guessed 7.
Okay. And Andy?
I also guessed 7, but I remember this happening when I was a kid. I remember my parents referring to it as Ma Bell.
Okay. So is that your answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Ma Bell is not an alliterative colloquialism. Just
Hey.
Well, good to know.
Ma Bell was kind of the parent company, AT&T.
Okay.
Baby Bells were the ones that were split off.
Oh, duh.
And there were, in fact, 7 of them.
Ooh.
Ooh, I got the 7 right anyway.
So I've got Davo getting Baby Bell right without getting the number, and Kels and Andy both got the number correct. So here's a nugget. Of those 7, 4 are now owned by AT&T again. 2 are owned by Verizon, and 1 is owned by CenturyLink, because apparently the government doesn't care as much about monopolies nowadays.
Well, I think because of cell phones too, it's a little bit
Well, they're fine with oligarchy, but not monopoly.
right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I'm sure this is an easy trivia nugget, but you guys know what AT&T stands for, right?
American Telephone and Telegraph.
Right. I love the fact there's a corporation still advertising they're into telegraph.
All right. Question 2. The German automobile company Daimler was known as what between 1996 and 2007, which were the dates that it was hooking up with what American company?
Locked in.
Locked in.
I'm locked in.
All right, Kels,
Chrysler,
Andy,
just because it kind of sounds like Daimler. I don't know.
Daimler Chrysler.
Ava.
Daimler Chrysler.
It was indeed Daimler Chrysler.
How come I've never heard of Daimler?
Daimler owns Mercedes-Benz and a bunch of other German, and they're a multinational company. They own a bunch of different things. They used to do Maybach, but Maybachs are out of business now, I think. Okay. This will probably be pretty easy for you history types, but in 1911, Standard Oil was forced to split into 34 different companies. What 1890 federal law was used to break up the monopoly?
I'm locked in. Oh, luckily I just taught this.
Well, hopefully you talked about it while we watched the Super Bowl.
Nope.
I'm locked in. Dang it! I'm locked in.
I'm locked in too.
Davo?
I'm sorry, I was talking to my dog.
Your dog is named Dang It?
Sometimes. I wrote down the Dawes Act because Andy mentioned that during the Super Bowl. I can't remember this at all.
Kels?
I went with the law of the jungle.
Wow. That's pretty hardcore. I don't think that was 1890. I think that was in the 1870s, though.
Yeah.
I know I missed it by like a decade.
Andy?
Dang it.
The good Republican from Ohio, John Sherman. The Sherman Act.
The Shermer Act?
No, not the Shermer Act, because that's not real, is it?
The Shermer Act is what he did in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's true. Yeah.
The correct answer was the Sherman Antitrust Act.
I wrote down Antitrust Act, but I didn't have the name. So I knew it was an antitrust law, so that would not have given me credit. I don't know why I'm complaining.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm not sure either, but the ghost of John Sherman's certainly going to haunt you tonight.
He's going to break me up into 34 little pieces.
Our last and final question in this competition, before the actual last question in this competition, is the following. This video game was acquired by Microsoft in 2000, developed a very popular game for the Xbox, and then split off from Microsoft in 2007.
Okay, this is not right.
Maybe you should write.
It might be right.
Maybe you should put the right question down.
I'm going to write it. I'm going to... Woohoo! We're going to go with that.
I'm locked in.
I know part of the story, but I don't know the whole story.
I don't know.
I know the video game that was in the middle of all this, but I don't know the name of the company. All right, I'm locked in with sort of maybe somebody will take pity on me.
That seems unlikely, but we'll see. Andy, what was your answer?
I know it's the company that produced the game Halo, but I don't know the name of the company.
So that sounds like a punt then.
Yeah, more or less.
Just
right guy.
Be clear.
Hang time.
Davo?
Well, after I locked in, I started thinking about, hey, what was a big game for Xbox? But I'm a PlayStation guy. I don't know that. Oh, wait, it was probably Halo. This was long after I locked in, by the way. So what I locked in with was EA.
Okay. And Kels?
Well, all I knew is that Halo was probably the biggest game for Xbox, but I had no idea of what the studio was, so I just wrote Halogen Studios.
Okay. Well, you
Okay, I want to be clear. I was in better shape than it sounded originally.
Well, you were. The game in question was indeed Halo, and it was developed by a company called Bungie.
Yeah, I didn't have
I
that one.
feel real bad about this now.
That one wasn't in the pot at all.
All right. So just so you know, that was a Anthony question, so blame him.
Thanks, Anthony.
You're the best.
All right. We have pre-final scores ready. I've got Davo with 172, Kels with 152, and Andy with 132. So I promised you earlier that we were going to have some bonuses with this final question. And so it's mostly going to work the same way as other ones did. Other ones have been recently, but there's some additional questions you can answer for the bonus points. So we're talking about breakups. We haven't talked about countries yet. But you guys may remember that there used to be a group of, or a republic called the USSR. Since they broke up, there are now 15 post-Soviet states. I need you to give me 10 of them for 10 points each. And exact spelling does count. No, just kidding.
Whoa. Wait a minute.
I was about to say,
wait a minute.
So here's the bonuses. So I'll give you about 2 minutes to try to name 10 of them. For 5 points each, tell me how many of those 15 have joined the EU, and 5 more points if you can name the ones that have joined the EU. 5 points each. So there's 20 bonus points available there if you can guess the number of states that joined the EU and list all of them. All right, Andy, tell me your 10.
I did not get 10, but I'm genuinely proud of this first one because it's so obvious. I wonder if you guys missed it. Russia.
Dagnabbit.
And yes, they joined the Union. Ukraine, yes, they joined the Union. Georgia, Armenia, Uzbekistan, Lithuania, and yes, they joined the Union. Latvia, yes, they joined the Union. And Belarus, which I don't think they did. That's
what was that last one?
Belarus, or is it Belarus?
That's why I'm asking.
All right, give me a minute. It's Belarus. It's Belarus.
Okay, and so how many do you think joined the EU?
Out of those, I picked 3. I think Russia, the Ukraine, and Lithuania. And no, I don't have Latvia written down, so I think they did now, but I don't have it written down.
Okay.
So I didn't lock in with that.
Kels, what was your list?
Okay, so I hope you're prepared to hear Stan a lot. So I went with Russia. And yes, they joined the EU. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. I don't think I've ever heard that one out loud. Probably because nobody knows how to pronounce it.
I think it's from a James Bond movie.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it is, honestly. But Tajikistan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, EU, Ukraine, also EU, Bulgaria, EU, and Turkmenistan. So I got 4 in the EU, and it's Russia, Georgia, Ukraine, and Bulgaria.
Russia, Georgia, Ukraine, and Bulgaria. Okay.
Georgia. Sweet Georgia.
David, what was your list?
Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan, Armenia, Ukraine, Russia, Uzbekistan. Was that 9 or 10?
That's 9.
Lost. Turkmenistan.
What?
And yeah,
You just made that last one up. You just
I
totally
really-
made that last one up.
I really did.
I also had it, Andy.
I had 3 countries in the EU because apparently I didn't think of Russia or the Ukraine. I had Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, the Baltic states, in the EU. So I had 3 in the EU and the Baltic states.
All right. Well, so if you were paying attention, I kind of blew the last part because I told you that there were 20 points total available. So that was a mistake on my part. But there are 3 that join the U, and we'll get to those. So I'm looking down the list here. Andy got Russia, Ukraine, Georgia, Armenia, Uzbekistan, Lithuania, Latvia, and Belarus. Those are all correct. So that's 8. You got 5 points for guessing the 3 EU states. The only EU state you got correct was Latvia. So that gives you a total of 90 points.
You didn't say Latvia. You didn't actually lock in with Latvia.
No, I want to make this clear. I was going to say the same thing, that I said Lithuania, and then I said yes to Latvia. Then I admitted that I did not have that locked in. I realized that when I was reading them off, but I did not write yes next to Latvia. So don't give me that point.
So in that case, you got 85 points. You had it listed as one of the states, but not as one of the EU states. Okay.
Right. I had it listed as a state, but I misspoke when I said I had it as. I realized when I was reading them off, it was part of the EU, but I did not have it written down. Rats.
So Kels got Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Ukraine. Bulgaria was not a post-Soviet state. Turkmenistan is. So you got 90 for that. You missed the number of EU states, and of the EU, you didn't. None of the ones you listed were EU states. Well, Bulgaria might be, but it wasn't a post-Soviet state. So, by my count, that gives you 90 for that question. Davo, I can tell you right away, I think he was perfect. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan, Armenia, Ukraine, Russia, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan are all post-Soviet states. There were 3, and the 3 post-Soviet states that joined the EU were Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania.
Woo!
So perfect sweep for David. 120 points. I think the only one of the post-Soviet states that none of you mentioned was Moldova. I think all the others.
I didn't know that was part of. I didn't know that was part of. I conflate that with Yugoslavia, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of do as well.
There's a lot of little countries over there.
They owe me money, so I don't bring them up.
They weren't in a James Bond movie, so they're not really Russia.
So our final scores for the breakups quiz. I got Andy with 217 points, Kels with 242, and Davo with 292 points.
Ooh.
Well done,
Orange
sir.
belt for me. Hooray.
Sherbert.
It's going to look good on you. The orange belt has a slimming effect.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you guys for an excellent game. If you folks out there would like to send us just talk to us. We love when people talk to us. And if you want to help the show, there are a number of things you can do. at varying levels of commitment, let's say. The easiest thing to do is just keep listening to the show. We love doing it. We want to do it. Keep listening. Next step, review the show. Whatever your podcast app that you prefer to use, give us a review. Go to Google, go to iTunes, go to Spotify, go wherever. Give us that review so that it will make it easier for other folks to find the show, get into it, and thus the show will grow, and we will soon be trivia overlords of the world. But the final thing you can do, the final thing you can do is you can throw us a few ducats on Patreon. We have a Patreon page. We have some lovely patrons that we like to salute. Every dollar that goes into the show from the Patreon page goes back out through the speakers. We use it for equipment. We use it for programs. We use it for software. We use it for keeping this show going. So, if you want to talk to us, hit us up on the Twitter at LadleBrain. Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on the old webpage we got going there, the brainladletrivia.com. Hit us up at our email addresses. We have Kels at brainladle.com, Neil at brainladle.com, Davo at brainladle.com. Please send us some emails. If you are one of those folks that want to throw some Patreon dollars at us, and as a reward, as part of that, we have some bonus content that we throw out there for just those special listeners. And gosh, I'm just running out of things to say. Andy, do you have any shout outs you'd like to throw out there?
No.
Kels.
Well said.
Kels, do you have any shout outs?
Well, to all the fans, of course, and to one Copeland and to Miss Sharon Jordan. I love you both.
Hey. And Neil, do you have any shout outs?
Well, I want to say a special thanks to Jeff and Anthony for helping out with this quiz. And if anybody else has any ideas, you can send me your theme ideas. If you have some questions you want to send along with those, I'll be happy to use them in a competition.
Yeah, so basically if you want to be part of our torture, just hit up Neil.
Or another way to put it is, if you want to do my job for me, feel free. I will accept.
No one can do your job, Neil.
Well, no one does
so
it better.
No one does it.
So from all of us here at the Brain Ladle Trivia Podcast, this is Davo with Andy.
Good night, Gracie.
Kels.
Next time, He-Man.
And Neil.
As another slightly more famous Neil once said, comma, down, doobie-doo, down, down, breaking up is hard to do.
He trumped you, Kels.
Signing off.
The preceding podcast was presented by Brain Ladle Productions. All rights reserved.